Hey there. I did a video last week after week 1 of the CMC arthroplasty surgery that I had in early December. So today's 2 weeks exactly that I had the surgery, which seems like forever ago and yesterday. um, when I went back to my doctor last week, they were going to take the actual hard splint off and put on a much smaller, more manageable thing. I hated that one, so I used a brace that I already have, and I use that every day. Most of the day, I do have my wrist in the brace. I do take it off the shower, and even being in the shower, like my hand feels so foreign. But this is what it looks like right now, 2 weeks out. There's this big curvy one up here, and then that's little tendon one down there. Um, right now, the only thing that bothers about me, like they're pulling, which I guess is healing, but it feels very weird, very unstable yet. But today I did notice because most of the day I have my thumb separated in the brace and my fingertips out. And today I did something with my fingertips and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I was able to do that yesterday. So that was kind of exciting. Um, One of the most annoying parts of all of that was the steri strips. My orthopedist said last Friday, oh, you can just take them off. Like, they'll come off in the shower. It's no big deal. That was a blatant lie. And my husband even laughed. He's like, he didn't want to mess around with those steri strips, so he just told you some sort of lie to get you out of the office. But he told me I could take them off when I came home, and then I started pulling them off, and then the adhesive was terrible, and the adhesive was sticking to everything else, and my tendon area with the adhesive was insane. And I was putting on Vaseline on top of it. I was putting bio oil on top of it, like anything I could think of to try to loosen up that adhesive or those strips. Finally, I landed on Q-tips that I soaked in baby oil, and I would just run the Q-tip up and down, up and down, up and down, over and over and over. And after a while, it started to break up that adhesive, and I could then pull it out of there. So today's the first day I don't feel like I have any adhesive left. So yay me! 2 weeks later. My thumb is also not looking as dead as it had been looking. It still looks a little waxy and definitely bruised, but not as dead, which I love. Um, One of the things that was bothering me the most is not being able to do my hair like I would typically do. My husband was kind enough to try and curl it one day for me, and we found out that that's just not a skill that he possesses. He's very good in many, many things, but using a curling iron was sort of eye-opening. I did find out yesterday that I could use these weird little hot rollers that I had. I could pull a section of hair out, wind it up with one hand, and then push it down. And that was glorious. I felt like I was doing something that would be something I would do. And I was going out into the world looking like I would want to go out into the world. Makeup's still difficult. I'm getting better though. And I have found that felt tip eyeliner is better than the solid eyeliner, if you're an eyeliner kind of girl, which I am. And going out without it, I just felt weird, so that helped a lot. I did go back to work this week, which involved driving. Monday I had a friend drive me and another friend take me back home, but Tuesday I decided to try it on my own. I live 40 minutes away from work, so it's not close, it's not a stressful drive, it's not an all highway and traffic kind of drive, but I hadn't driven with just one hand, which was really weird, being this is my dominant hand, and I have to drive with lefty, who doesn't really do anything most of the last 58 years of my life. But I did okay, and I was so excited. Um, Wednesday, I stopped at Aldi and bought a few things before I drove to work, which made me feel like a grown up, like I was being independent after 10 days of just like depending on other people for everything. And that was kind of great. I do notice if I drive for a long time that my arm feels really tired, even if I'm not using it, which most times I'm not. It's just sitting there next to me. But my hand gets tired, and it's like an ache tired, not like a pain tired. And so that's kind of weird. I did figure out how to paint my nails, although they're not painted now. I can put the brush in between these two fingers, like this, and do these guys, and that was exciting because I'm a girl that likes to have her nails done. I'll be doing that later this afternoon. And like, it's funny, the little workarounds that you figure out. Writing is still atrocious. I had to address some Christmas cards that I didn't have labels for, and the people that get them probably think that a serial killer is sending them mail because it's rough. But I'm getting there. Pain is very manageable. When I get up in the morning, I take an Aleve and like 2 Advil and a Tylenol, and that's pretty much it throughout the day. Sometimes I'll take another Tylenol or another, ibuprofen or something mid-afternoon, but generally I don't. Um, Sometimes I throw a little ice on depending on how I'm feeling, but it's manageable. So that's all been great. I'm trying to think of other things that I've been figuring out going through this, but really at this point, I just really miss my hand. I miss being able to just pick something up and not have to think about it. Doing laundry today, so that's an extra chore because I can wash stuff, I can fold stuff, but wash stuff and dry stuff. Folding stuff is a bear. I don't have this hand to like help me fold things, so things look a little weird, but they're getting done. Um, I'm able to cook with this, although I'm not a great chef, and I have to really be aware of if that's a pot of boiling water, someone else has to dump that out for me. And I think that was one of the big adjustments for this was being dependent on people. I'm very independent. I've been very independent for a long time. So to even like have to have somebody run to the store for me was just nuts. And when my husband dropped me off at home last Friday after my appointment, he said, "I'll see you later." And I said, "I'll be here." And he said, "Don't say it like it's a sentence." And I thought he meant, "Don't say it like it's a sentence." And I was like, "What was a sentence? It wasn't a question." Like, that's the librarian in me dissecting this comment. It took me about 2 hours to realize he meant like a prison sentence, like I was stuck at home. And we had both had a good laugh about that, about how different we are. But if you're out there and you're watching this and you're new in your journey or you're going to be having this surgery, um, it sucks. Like, I'm not going to lie. This has definitely put a crimp in our holiday season and, what we can do, but we're getting by and it's not the end of the world, and every day it's a little bit better, and that's all I can really go on right now. Very curious to see what this will look like once it all heals up, but even more curious to make sure that my thumb will work. The brace that I wear many days has my thumb like in this position, not like in this position. So right now I feel like I can't put my thumb straight, and that kind of worries me. Like, what if my hand always goes back there? I'm sure it won't, and when I go back in January, we'll do some talking about that, but I can wiggle all these fingers, I can touch them down, so that's great. I don't try to move anything with my thumb. I try to really behave and just let it heal on its own. So, I hope this is helping you out. It helps me to talk it out. Maybe someday it'll be funny for me to watch and be like, "Oh yeah, that's when I had that janky surgery on my wrist." But take care, everyone. Merry Christmas. Hang in there. Bye.